Hello, beautifuls. Welcome to Self-Love Talks with me, Tara Love Perry. I hope you've had a wonderful day. And I promised you in last week's show that I'm going to be talking about gifts and how to access, how to unlock your gifts. And then something came up over the weekend since the new moon that we had about a week ago in Capricorn. And today's date is 17th of January, so that was about a week ago. There seemed to be this massive theme that came up around responsibility. And it seemed everybody that I was connected with was having some similar theme, and it was pretty full on. So if that was one of you and you were experiencing something like that, and you were feeling overwhelmed, overburdened, triggered by this sense of always feeling super responsible for other people and the burden and the weight of that responsibility, then I'm also going to be talking about that, because actually the two things, at least from where I'm sitting, are completely interrelated. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the unbearable burden of your gift and how to not avoid, but how to release yourself, liberate yourself from that overburden, the overwhelm of responsibility. And I just want to thank you before I get into that. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in your life, in your existence right now, in the world. You're doing really great. It's not easy times, but you're here and I love you. And I'm just sending you so much, energy to stay with it and stay true to you in this really crazy time. So let's get into the first part about your gift. First of all, what is your biggest gift? What is the gift number one? And as I talked about last week, it's your breath. And the fact that you exist, with your breath, you exist. That is a gift. It means you have been gifted, you have been blessed with this life. And why is it always somebody calls me when I'm doing a live? Go away. You've been blessed with a gift. So on your birthday, you were given the most incredible present, the most incredible birthday gift. And it is this present moment now, this presence of you. You are your own birthday present. How amazing is that? That's gift number one. Now, the thing is, when you're little and you're a baby, you don't realize that you're a gift. I mean, I think you probably do innately, like in your kind of, I don't know, your super conscious state. But consciously as an individual, you're not thinking, hey, I'm a gift and, everybody treat me like the most amazing gift. However, if you aren't received as the gift that you are to other people in their life in the way that you've been received, and all of you has been received, then that can make you kind of reject your own gift, not realize, not appreciate your own gift of your own self. And so you start also noticing how other people are receiving their gifts, the people around you, your immediate environment, your parents, for example. And if other people are also not receiving their gift of themselves fully and completely as to who they truly actually are, their full presence, their full power, then that's like a signal to you deep in your psyche that you're also not permitted to do the same thing. There's like a clause, an unwritten, unspoken agreement that no, we're not going to receive our own gifts. And what we see is that abdication of the self to say, okay, I don't belong to me. I exist, therefore, for others. And, this can get really deep. So I kind of don't want to go into all of that psychology so much, but just bear with me with this and tune in and feel this for yourself and go, okay, did I feel received as the gift I was when I was born? Did I know that I could fully receive myself and be myself? And if not, what happened? And so that gift kind of gets passed over to other people. And essentially, you are the responsibility of your parents, of your carers, of your adults around you. They are responsible for you because they're the grown-ups. It's just quite simple. You're a child, you're learning. You have no responsibility. But when we see that the adults around us are also not taking responsibility for their own life, their own gift, their own power, their own truth, their own joy, their own happiness, their well-being, and everything, taking care of themselves in an adult, empowered way, then we immediately, without realizing it's a subconscious decision, it's a survival-based decision, to then assume that responsibility that's kind of been left. It's as if somebody has the gift of empowerment, has the gift of a responsibility to themselves, and then they just chuck it on the floor. And so if the place is being littered up with unresumed or unassumed, abandoned responsibility, self-responsibility for their well-being, happiness, joy, whatever it is, it's like you soak it up. You notice it, you feel it, you sense it, and I'll talk about this in a minute. But that burden, then you assume that responsibility that then it must be yours. It must be your job to make the people around you happy, better, healthier, wealthier, whatever it is, you're trying to carry that responsibility for other people. And this is really fascinating. It's really interesting because why we do that comes back to our other gifts. Now, the primary gifts, as I see it, are our sensibilities. Our ability to see, hear, feel, taste, touch, connect, empathize, feel with our hearts, tune in, our intuition, our instinct. Okay, we have all of these awarenesses, these ways of perceiving that are very external. So therefore, I'm sensing out into the world. But those abilities can go beyond the surface. They're not just external. We don't just see externally with our eyes. We can see internally with our eyes. We can't just touch people with our hands and touch the surface. We can touch right the way through a person's body, right in and touch the emotions, the sensations in their body, and we can feel that and pick it up. Just like we can also hear unspoken words, things that aren't being said. It's like we hear them or sense them in some way. So, and I believe every child, as we are born with these these external sensitivities that we use to perceive the world and life and everything, we have our internal sensitivities, our extrasensory abilities. And I think as children, we're all really heightened in these abilities. We're super sensitive, super aware, like fresh out of the box, like, you know, very, very vulnerable. And so when other people around us are not taking responsibility for their own gifts, their abilities to see, sense, feel, taste, touch, not just the very tangible 3D reality, although that is also very important to be held physically and to be heard and to be seen, but also the more extrasensory awarenesses like your intuition and like that deeper sense of empathy. And so what certainly happened to me and what I see happening to so many people, if not everybody, and of course I haven't seen everybody, so I can't comment, but let me know if this is you, right? Where you could feel somebody else's unhappiness, and because they weren't taking responsibility for it and owning that as something that they need to do for themselves to take care of their own happiness, that you then assume the sadness. You pick up on the sadness, you empathize with it, and you start carrying it around as if it's then your job to do something about that, your job to carry it. You want to lighten the load of the people around you because you're a naturally loving, sensitive little being. And it's like, this is what you do. It just gets assumed. So then you're carrying already, before you even consciously realize it, you're carrying the emotional burden of somebody else. And it might be that you grow up with that burden of sadness and you don't even remember where it came from. You don't remember that you absorbed it from a parent around you. but you grow up with this sadness and maybe not understand why. And maybe you go on a mission then to try and make your sadness better, to fix it, to heal it. Maybe you go on a mission to start trying to help heal other people's sadness around you, because if their sadness burden was lifted, then you would feel better, you would feel lighter, because you're no longer having to carry that burden with them. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. And if you can relate to that, if you can think and feel into an experience where you've done that with probably at least one person, if not loads of people. So then that gift is that you can sense, you can feel, you can see what's missing, or you can see what needs to happen, but it's not being done, it's not happening. You can hear the words that aren't being spoken about feelings, about thoughts. And so you become extrasensory, in your hearing. It's like, and sometimes that is really, really difficult. And this is where the burden part comes in, because sometimes you just don't want to hear that. You don't know what to do with it. It's too heavy for you. There seems no solution, especially when you're a little child. You don't yet know how to deal with that. So often when the burden becomes so heavy, you will just protect yourself naturally. And again, a subconscious survival response is for your ears maybe to shut down and hear less. So maybe you grow up with a hearing disability where you can't hear so well, or you have problems with your ears, as an example. Or you're so empathic that you feel these feelings and you get so overwhelmed and so overburdened with feeling other people's feelings that before long, all you can feel is everybody else's feelings and you can't feel your own. And maybe you don't even know the difference. You think it's all you. Maybe you don't even realize that it's other people's feelings that you're feeling that have been left abandoned, unspoken, unconnected to, unresolved, unhealed, unowned feelings, right? Because they're just ignored, abandoned, denied, even covered over, not talked about. And it's like, that really weighs heavier on us as children. So you can already start to feel this picture building up. I mean, you can feel the heaviness of it now, just talking about it. And it's okay to feel this heaviness so long as we breathe into it and go, okay, what if we can acknowledge that? What if we can understand by being empathic enough with ourselves, by seeing ourselves enough and choosing to be responsible for how we feel and for our self-care of our own gift of ourself and the gifts of our abilities, our sensitivities, and we choose to take responsibility for that now, even right now in this moment as I'm speaking it to you, if you've never thought about this before. Say, okay, so maybe I did assume this burden from other people. What do I do with it? And the first thing is to become self-aware and go, okay, I need to feel, I need to recognize, I need to see, I need to hear myself. I need to hear those words that I haven't said and choose to be responsible for yourself and your gifts of you. And then, because you've connected to it, because you've decided to be responsible for what's inside of you, for your own well-being, then you can begin to go on a journey of relieving yourself of those burdens, of transforming that energy, not fixing, not denying, not burying, not ignoring, not throwing away, because that again would be denying your responsibility. And trust me, this just gets passed on to the next generation or to those people around you. It kind of is just a burden that gets passed along, like a pass the parcel game where nobody wants to, or hot potato game where nobody wants to hold it and they just chuck it to the next person. So it's like to go, okay, this is what I'm feeling. I'm now responsible. And you can go on your journey of beginning to transform that, because you can reclaim, you can own your amazing gifts that you have. And this, I'll give you a quick example. I grew up super, super empathic. So I could feel everybody else, but I didn't realize I could feel everybody else. I thought it was all me. And also, because I grew up feeling so much, I then thought it was my job, my responsibility, even before I understood that it was a responsibility. And I used that language and had that kind of intelligence around it. It just felt like it was on me to fix it, to heal it, to make everybody better, and to become a healer, and to somehow change everything for everybody. And if you're an empath like me and you feel not just one person, but you feel a lot of people, maybe you even feel the emotional, unheld, unowned baggage of the heavy emotions on this planet, with so many people in fear, in agony, in pain, in suffering, in anger, in all of these heavy emotions, that perhaps you just feel all of that. And perhaps you feel responsible for not just helping those closest to you and fixing and healing them, but doing it for everybody, a lot of people in the world. And I know that there's many people, especially in my community out there, and those of you watching probably, where you actually do feel an enormous weight of responsibility for others in the world generally. And so then you're giving your life force, your energy to trying to uphold this responsibility, figure out how to do it, how to carry it all, how to hold it all, how to feel it all, how to process it all, so that we can ultimately lighten the burden for the world and for everybody. And why is that? Because deep, deep down, we just actually need everyone to feel better so that we can feel better, so that you can feel better. Because you go, oh, if I fix everybody, then I'm going to have some space. I'm going to have some freedom. I can then just relax. I can just be me. Now, I think it's really important if you can relate to this and this is you, and please let me know if it is. Let me just check here the comments because I can see the comments coming up. So, gosh, where was I? This is not a way to live life. And maybe it's a good idea to ask yourself how long you've been doing this. Maybe you just cottoned on. Maybe you just woke up and realized you're doing this. Maybe you've known for a really long time that this is what you're doing, but you don't know how to get out of it. Maybe you've got other gifts knocking at your door inside, your internal doors, trying to get out. And it's like you almost don't know how to, or you don't feel like you've got permission to, because you haven't taken care of first this other responsibility, this first responsibility that you took on to help heal and make people feel better around you. And that will really, or can really, really cramp your sense of self and how much you allow yourself to then just receive the rest of your gifts and who you are. You can block up your own senses. You can block up your empathy. You can block up your hearing. You can block up your sight because you're sick of seeing something. So you'll subconsciously start dulling your vision, or you'll start, avoiding feelings and disconnect and disassociate from emotions because you've had so many, you just can't handle it anymore and you couldn't find a way out. So that makes you disconnect from yourself and your own gifts. And of course, then you're going to be unhappy. And like I said, it's really important to come back and go, okay, responsibility number one is to yourself. You are responsible for your life. It's your gift that you were born with this life of you. You are yours to look after, to take care of. And it really doesn't work as well when we think, well, if I'm doing this for everybody else, then somebody else got to take care of me. And that just creates a codependency where everybody's thinking that they have to make other people happy and fix everybody else. And it's just a vicious cycle. And the way to end that is to kind of reverse it. And what if everybody took responsibility for themselves? What if we began to learn how to do that? Because we certainly seem like we know how to do it for others, except it's really not working very well. It just creates a constant loop of pain. And you can really initiate this. You can be a leader in this. You can just decide at any moment with your power of willpower and with your power of thought, your power of being able to make a decision, that's a gift as well. The fact that you can choose, that's a gift. It's just God-given. It's just you have it. Whether you believe in it or not, whether you think you have a choice or not, you still have a choice to believe or think that you have a choice or don't have a choice, right? It's up to you if you say, oh, I can't help it, I've got no choice. That's you choosing to believe that you've got no choice, right? Really let that sink in. There is always a choice. You always have a choice. And it's not just necessarily look after me and abandon everybody else, or abandon myself and look after everybody else. That's not your only two choices. It's never just that or this. There is always another choice, the loving choice. What would love do? What would it be? What would your choice be if you chose to really love yourself and embrace and receive and accept your gift of you? That's your priority number one, your responsibility number one. Because if you're looking after you really, really well, you're going to be thriving and shining. You'll be a beacon to everyone else. You'll be a leader. You'll be able to then show other people how to be responsible for themselves if you want to. And if you don't want to take on that responsibility, you also don't have to. It's not your job. You didn't come with a label on you that says, you thou have to go out and rescue everybody. You now have to go out and spend your whole life teaching everybody how to be responsible, self-sufficient adults. Right? You weren't born with that instruction. You weren't born with that label. And even if you think you were, I was born to be a healer. I was born with a mission to save the world. I was born with whatever, XYZ. Actually, you also have that responsibility, that beautiful gift of of choice, the power of choice, where you can actually choose what would be most loving to myself. What would love choose for me? And I feel that love would always choose your joy, your happiness, your sense of wholeness, completion with yourself, right feeling with yourself, a duty to yourself to be lit up, to be who you are, who you were designed to be, who you were created to be, a unique and incredible being with unique and incredible gifts, a unique combination of your sensory abilities, a unique voice, a unique message, a unique ear for sounds, for music, for words, a unique way of feeling and empathizing and sensing, a unique way of tasting things and knowing how to put taste together, a unique way of moving and expressing, a unique way of creating and crafting. I mean, there is just so many. There's as many different combinations of these gifts alone as there are people. And you have your own unique combination of these incredible gifts that we all have. Everybody is gifted, everybody. But like I said, you might not be able to realize your gift, and your gift might feel stuck and blocked and buried if it is buried under a ton of responsibility for others. And that's where you just have to choose, if you want to lighten that load and think, okay, whose weight am I carrying? And is it serving me? And is it serving them? Because you might think that you're helping somebody by sharing their pain, sharing their sadness, carrying the sadness for them, trying to heal them, fix them. But actually, as long as you're assuming somebody else's responsibility for yourself and overburdening yourself, you're depriving that person of responsibility for themselves. Whether they choose to pick it up or not is up to them, not you. They have the same beautiful gift of choice just like you do. And if they're not choosing to use their gift of choice, or they don't realize they have a gift of choice and they don't want to realize, because that would mean taking responsibility if they realize that they had a choice, then they won't make that choice. And sometimes it really doesn't matter what you do or say. It doesn't make people choose that. And sometimes it really is the complete opposite. They will run in the opposite direction. They will push you away. They'll get annoyed with you. They won't even like you, or you won't be close, because they just don't want to. If you're trying to make them, it's just annoying. So again, it's like, that's not your job. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to you. Even if you have children, and I learned this as a mother, my kids are grown up now, they're 22 and 23. And yes, as a parent, I have a responsibility to my children. And what I noticed is, where I wasn't taking responsibility for myself and empowering myself with that responsibility, then I was inadvertently burdening and dumping my unowned responsibilities for things onto my kids. I didn't even realize. And when I realized, I was like, whoa, I need to take this off them. And that's where forgiveness comes in. It's beautiful to use forgiveness for unburdening the people that you care about and unburdening yourself. So I actually realized that it's more important, and this sounds like really selfish, but bear with me. I found that it was more important that I take responsibility for myself, my own needs, as best I possibly could. And when I did that, I could actually be a more responsible parent to my beautiful children, and I would burden them less, and I would teach them about self-responsibility because I was demonstrating it, rather than making my kids responsible for my happiness, and then who's taking responsibility for theirs, and then they'd have to go on and then pass their burden on to somebody else. So even as a parent, and you think, gosh, my first responsibility is to my children, I would invite you to stop and question that and really feel into it and be like, well, if you took more responsibility for yourself, for you realizing your own gifts that you are and using your gifts, i.e., opening up your senses and using your unique combination of what's powerful for you, whether it's empathy or singing or seeing or whatever it is, touch, that then you are a much more empowered being. Your children will trust you. You'll feel closer. They're going to emulate you, because children will always do what you do, not what you say, right? So they would just follow in your footsteps. Oh, that's how we're supposed to do it. Just like you did with your parents, you see. So there is a responsibility to your children to not pass that forward, that hot potato, and actually just choose to really tap into your own frequency, your own being, your own gifts, what's been pre-packed inside of you before you were even born. Like it's already in there. It's not something you go out and find. It's something that's like a little seed that when you nurture it, it grows. And some people are just born with the profound gift. It's already a full-grown tree, for example, a tree-sized gift inside of you. And yes, it still needs nurturing. Yes, it needs expressing. And just like that tree, it's all these branches of your gifts can come out. You become powerful, you become strong, you become whole. And of course, like a tree, it's a great analogy, because like a tree, then when you're empowered in your gifts and using all your different branches of who you are and your creativity, your voice, your feelings, your whatever it is, all of your different abilities, what lights you up, what gives you joy, then you're going to be producing fruits on your tree that can be for everybody else. Like, for example, I do psychic readings. And I have gaps where I don't do it because sometimes it's just like, oh, I'm so busy, or have been, let me say, so busy with trying to do healing and help everybody through the healings, or, on my little mission, that actually I could put aside my own gifts for a while. And then once I start doing the readings again, I'm just lit up. I'm just like, this is me. This is what I'm designed to do. It's what I was born with. And it just makes me happy. And there's no responsibility. I don't have a responsibility to somebody else. I just have the responsibility to share my gift in the most amazing way that makes me happy. And if that person wants to share in it with me and partake in my gift and enjoy that gift with me and be the receiver of that gift, then that's their responsibility. It's not mine, right? So I'm just using that as an example. If you're playing music, and you're so absorbed in the music and you're just in absolute ecstasy in the sound of your own music, and then you realize you've got a crowd gathering who are also sharing that ecstasy with you. How incredible is that? What an amazing way to share your gift. And there is no responsibility. You're not playing the music to deliberately go out there and make people happy, because that's actually going to be a block for you. Do you understand? Because it's a burden, it's heavy, it's a bit of a joy killer. And also, maybe actually it's not a joy killer for you. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you go, I live for going out and playing my music and in making other people happy. And I literally live to make other people happy. But what if you're not making people happy? And when is it enough people that you've made happy with your music? When is that going to be enough for you to fill your cup? When do you eventually get happy? And I don't mean for just a second when everybody's clapping and, you see their smiling faces and you have that momentary joy of like, yay, I made everybody happy. But then they go back to, they walk away, the crowd disperses, and they go back to not being happy again. Or the crowd disperses and you go home and there's no audience and you're like, oh, unhappy again. That's a sign, if you do something like that in your life, where you're doing it for other people, that you're carrying a burden that's not yours. It's not your job. I hope this is really helping. And then what do? You give it back. It doesn't matter if somebody else picks it up or not. You just give it back. You just be like, okay, this actually isn't mine. And how do you know it's not yours? Because if it's not working for you, if it's causing you dissonance, if it's causing you disharmony, if it's causing you pain, struggle, any kind of feeling where you go, this just doesn't feel good, then it's not yours. Because what's truly yours feels good, feels right, is right, meant for you, a perfect fit, like trying on somebody else's shoes. They're not for you. Just give them back with love, with gratitude. Thank you. I'm sorry I took your responsibility for you. I didn't think I had a choice and I did it because I didn't realize. But actually, it's really not working for me. And I can see that it's not actually working for you because you're not progressing. You need your power back. You need to have your own choice, your own power of decision back of what you choose to do with it. And I took it on as my thing that I had to choose for you. And actually, I don't. And I didn't really realize. And I'm really sorry. Here, please forgive me. Have it back. Thank you. I love you. Because you actually took responsibility for others because you love them. Because as a child, as a baby, you were born as pure love. It's just what you did. And it's part of our sharing, caring, community connection to share responsibility with others and to share our gifts with others. Right? We can share in a responsibility with that. It's like, let's carry water together. Let's give our gifts together. Let's sing our song together. Wonderful. Right? Because you're connecting. through that shared responsibility of yourselves, of your gift. That's a much more harmonious, much more empowering way of lighting yourself up first, and then the consequences that those people that it makes them happy too, then they'll come and join in as well. And it's shared. So you kind of get that as a double layer, right? You make other people happy as well. Bonus, cherry on top. But it's not your sustenance. It's not your supply. It's not what you live for. It's just a cherry on top, and it's lovely. Right? Does that make sense? So getting back to your gifts, I hope this is really helping, guys. Let me know if it is. Getting back to your gifts, it's that unburdening of this responsibility that will allow you to actually be able to access your gifts. You never know, your hearing might come back, your eyesight might sharpen. You might be able to start feeling your own feelings, deciding what feels right for you, being able to sense what's your essence, who you are, what inside of you wants and needs expressing. Because yes, you might have the gift of empathy, but that doesn't mean that you have to empathize with other people for the rest of your life. You might have used that as a survival, as a way of like getting through life when you were younger, or understanding more about life and people. But as well as that empathy, or that listening, or that seeing, or that sense of touch, whatever it is that you have with your sensory gifts, underneath that, there's more. You're like, there's, you know, when you get a gift box and you take the lid off, and inside there's like tissue paper, and you can take out a tissue paper and there's a little wrapped gift, and you can take out of the wrapping and unwrap it, and there's a gift, and then it's like, whoa, there's more tissue paper. So you peel back the tissue, and then there's another gift, and you can unwrap, and then, whoa, what else is in here? More tissue paper, and then there's another gift, and you can unwrap. And I really see human beings like that. We're just like a box, a gift box that just keeps on giving. And a lot of the time, we see our gift and it's still got the lid on, and maybe it's got a bow on it, maybe it's plain, maybe it's got pretty paper, it's got different wrappings. And we look at the wrapping and we look at the shape and the size of the box, and we make our judgments and we make determinations, and we say, okay, kind of a nice gift, kind of a not a nice gift, that's a big gift, that's a small gift. And we make decisions about it, and then we'll pretty much put it on the shelf and then go and get fascinated by other people's gifts. What have you got? Is yours bigger than mine, better than mine, more colorful than mine? Is yours got a bigger bow than mine? Right? We compare ourselves and our gifts, and that really disserves us as well, really doesn't work. And all that you need to do is literally take the lid off. And that really means opening your mind. Like the lid is this head up here, the decision, the judger, and just lift it up. Look inside, go, okay, let me see into myself. Let me have that intimacy, that connection with myself. Let me use my gifts, my sensory abilities and my extrasensory abilities to feel into myself, to see into myself, to listen deeply into me, to hear my own music, my own melody, to smell my own incredible essence, my fragrance, to feel what stirs in me, what passions are inside of me, what creations are wanting to be built and created and made tangible, right? It's like sensing into yourself. And you may have to do quite a lot of cleaning up of these senses as you release the layers of the protection that you've built up against it, where you were using your senses to feel other people, like I said in the beginning. So there's that unburdening, cleaning, cleansing, giving back of the responsibility to others so that you can lighten your load and better feel, better connect to yourself, and better tune in to your frequency, your vibration, your desires, your longings, your needs, your incredible fragrance, your talents that want to come out, and really choose And again, it can feel really selfish, and maybe it feels less spiritual, maybe it feels too selfish, but there's something very, very, how can I say this? It's more spiritual and more unselfish, I believe, to be honest and be true and be real with yourself. Because you are a being of creator source. You are divinity incarnate. And if you feel like you have a great responsibility to God, to the divine mother, to the planet Earth, to nature, you are that nature. You are that divinity. You are God. You were created by those elements. That's exactly the same as the child feeling responsible for the parents. If spirit and earth are your parents that created you, you don't have a responsibility back to them. Your responsibility is to receive the creation of you that they put so much effort and love into creating as perfectly as you are, and to actually open your gift and receive your gift and learn how to take responsibility for your own power, for your own incredible, magnificent divinity and human needs and joy. That's enough responsibility for any person. I don't think, Mother Earth and God are sitting there going, that really a rubbish child of ours, not taking responsibility for us, being really selfish, only thinking about himself or herself. Of course they wouldn't, right? That's learned. That's something that we've been conditioned with from our own human parents or carers, however you were raised with the grown-ups you were raised around. That's transference, where we transfer that sense of responsibility onto then the divine parents, the great spirit, Father, God, Mother Earth, nature, the earth. We don't actually have that level of responsibility. And you might be thinking, yeah, but what about our responsibility for the, sustainability of the earth? And we do have a responsibility to the others, and we do have a responsibility to the planet. Take it back to yourself for a moment. Do you have a responsibility to yourself to give yourself beautiful, clean, living water as the divine would want you to have, as divine created, as Mother Earth and divinity naturally created, pure, incredible, life-giving, living water that was on this planet? Do we have a responsibility to give that to ourselves because it's been provided? We don't have to drink it. We don't have to choose it. We can choose to mess it up if we want, or we can choose to unmess it up. Right? And that comes back down to taking a better responsibility for ourselves and say, okay, I've been given this gift of pure water. I've been given this gift of me. I actually need pure water. I actually benefit from pure water. Therefore, let me take care of my water supply because it benefits me. And that is my gift back to God, back to the Creator, back to the Creatress, back to Mother Earth, is that I'm going to be responsible with these gifts that I've been given. Be responsible for the beautiful air that we've been given, the beautiful plants that we've been given, and our beautiful family and friends. Right? Because as we treat ourselves, we end up treating others. Does that make sense? If you abandon yourself in some way, you're going to be abandoning others in another way. And just, not choosing what's actually right. It's really important, I believe, to really come back to center with all this noise around where that responsibility lies and what we should be doing, what our purpose is in life, what our destiny is. And I do believe in destiny, and I do believe that every single one of you has some incredible, beautiful destiny. And you will best follow that path. You will best find that path when you are as true to you as you can possibly be. Honest, real, down to earth in your body, feeling, sensing, smelling, tasting, touching, being in your power, being in your essence, being in your sexuality, being in your emotions, really owning all that you've been given. And when you do that, it's like the light comes on. You've been owned, wow, by you. That gift has been received. And you light up, because when you receive a gift and you actually take it in, it's not just left in the box, it's not left on a shelf, you're not just looking at it going, is it selfish to receive this gift, right? Or you don't trust. And you actually truly receive that gift and you take it in and you feel that joy and you feel that gratitude. It's like nothing else. You light up. That's your gift. That's your gift. If you want to give a gift to the world, that is your gift, is you lit up in joy, in whatever way gives you joy. It could be farming gives you joy. It could be playing with children gives you joy. It could be doing tantra gives you joy. It could be tap dancing gives you joy. It could be, who knows, whatever it is where you go, I am deeply, really, and you can feel it. It's so tangible where you just go, oh, this is really, really doing it for me. I'm so happy. You start wiggling or whatever. That's your gift. And yeah, you can learn to maximize it from there. You can be like more creative. How can I be more fulfilled with my own gift? How can I give myself more of this joy that's going to fountain out of you or bear fruits on your tree for others? It's a much better way of giving, I think, giving back than the responsibility. So let me know your thoughts on that. And I hope that helped. And I will see you next week. And I love you. And thanks for watching. And if you're a subscriber to my channel, actually, thank you so much for that. And if you're new and you want to subscribe, that would be awesome, because it helps these messages get out to more people. And I really appreciate all your comments and your likes and just you being here. So much love. And I will see you